Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Simorgh deck profile. So this deck is a deck that's really budget. I bought 5 of this deck for about $11 on TCG Player. Every single one of the cards in the deck is about a quarter, maybe, each. So it's a really budget deck if you want to teach somebody how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! That's what I do with a lot of my deck cores. I put them in my trade binder so I can carry them over to my locals. When somebody's new to the game, is just trying to get into the game, I'll present them a deck like this and say, hey, you know, this deck is super cheap. Maybe I can teach you how to play, and you guys can learn the game. So without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that button there so you can become part of our notification squad, and let's get straight on to this. And I really quickly want to give a shout out to Savannah, or Scorpio Senpai. She loves Simorgh because of a card called Darkness, or Dark Simorgh. So Dark Simorgh is kind of like her Dark Armed Dragon, because it is one of the dark counterpart monsters, and this is absolutely her favorite card of all time. So I have to give her a quick shout out. That's why I'm playing the Secret Rare one from, I don't even remember what pack that came out of. It's a long time ago. One of the 5Ds packs. So let's get straight on to this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Simorgh Lord of the Storm. Simorgh Lord of the Storm is a really good monster. This deck is kind of generic. You don't really have to have an extra deck to play it because you just summon the 2 big birds, as Savannah says, and then go ham. So basically what this card does is your opponent cannot target this card, or your opponent cannot target this tribute summon card with spell or traps or effects. And you can only use the following effects of Simorgh Lord of the Storm once per turn. When a spell or trap or effect is activated, you can tribute a Wind Wing Beast monster and target a card your opponent controls, shuffle it into the deck. And when a Wing Beast monster you control is destroyed by battle while this card's in your graveyard, you can add it back to your hand. So it just reoccurs and comes back over and over again. But you don't have to, it is a level 8, but there's ways to get it out that's a lot easier. It's kind of like Monarchs, but doesn't break quite as much. Simorgh of Darkness is a lot easier to summon out than Simorgh Lord of the Storm. Simorgh of Darkness, when a wind attribute monster is tributed, or if a wind or a dark monster is tribute summoned, you can special summon this card from your hand or graveyard, which is really cool. And when a spell or trap or effect is activated, you can tribute a Wind Wing Beast monster. And if you do, negate the activation if you do destroy that card. So it does have some disruption as well within the main deck. And it has the ability that this card becomes a wind monster while on the field as well. And it always counts as a wind monster while it's on the field, which is really a really good effect. And it being a dark monster really helps too with the next card, which is Dark Simorgh. So Dark Simorgh, basically, when it's face up on the field, it becomes a wind monster, and you can banish a dark and a wind monster from your graveyard, special summon this card from your hand, and you can remove and play a dark monster and a wind monster from your hand to special summon this card from your graveyard. And basically its big effect is that your opponent cannot set cards, which is really important for this deck to make it so your opponent can't set cards for the next baby birds-ish that we play, because they keep coming back. So we're going to be playing 1 copy of Bird of Protection. Bird of Protection, all of the Simorgh cards share the ability that if your opponent has no spell or trap cards in their back row, you can special summon them from the graveyard but banish them when they leave the field, and you can only use their effects once per turn. Then they have added effects. Like this one has the ability that when it's normal summon, you can target a card in your opponent's spell and trap card zone and return it to the hand. I just play it as a one of because it's probably the worst of all of them, but it's still pretty good. Then I play 3 copies of Bird of Calamity. Bird of Calamity is when it's normal summon, you can send a Simorgh card from your deck to the graveyard, which is usually going to be your Darkness Simorgh, because you're going to want to get it in the graveyard, so when you tribute summon Lord of the Storm, you can just instantly bring it back, or you can also send one of your other Simorgh monsters to the graveyard, so you can get them in the grave, so you can special summon them back to tribute summon for Lord of the Storm. Then we play 3 copies of Simorgh Bird of Beginning. So Bird of Beginning is basically the searcher of the deck. When it's normal summon, you get to add a Simorgh card from your deck to your hand, which is going to usually be your Simorgh Onslaught or Elbor's Sacred Lands of Simorgh. You always want to get the field spell as quickly as possible, because the field spell enables you to summon Simorgh Lord of the Storm for 1 tribute, which is really good. Then we play 3 copies of Simorgh Bird of Beginning, which is Savannah's favorite, absolute favorite of the birds. But basically what this card does is when it's normal summon, you can activate this effect. During your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Simorgh monster in addition to your normal summon set. And then it also has the ability that it can bring itself back. So all 10 of these can recur and just bring themselves right back, which is really good. And Simorgh, Bird of Beginning, is really good to just recur and bring itself back over and over and over and over and over again, which can really help out with the game plan. Then we play 3 copies of Ash Blossom just as our kind of, hand trap. This card's going to be cheap soon. It's going to be like $4 when Dual Devastators comes out, which probably will already be out by the time I drop this video. So this deck, I'm going to go ahead and appraise this deck. Just from what I've assessed, you could probably get the deck for less than $20. Probably way less than $20. Probably closer to like $10 besides the Ash Blossoms for the main deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. And like I said, you could teach somebody to play this deck without the extra deck, and if you're trying to teach somebody to play the game, which is a lot of times what I end up doing. So we play 3 copies of Call by the Grave just to stop hand traps because we don't want to get hand trapped. 1 copy of Terraforming to get the Elbors out of our deck to our side of the field because you need to get to Elbors as quickly as possible. 1 copy of Simorgh Repulsion. Repulsion is you discard a wing beast from your hand to return all cards your opponent's spell and trap card zone to their hand. And you can banish from your graveyard to reveal a wing beast monster in your hand. And if you do, reduce the level of a monster in your hand with that name by 1 for the rest of the turn. Usually what I do is I'll have this on the field, and I'll use it with Dark Simorgh to reduce its level by 1 so I can tribute summon it for 1 tribute. Or you just reduce, usually you don't end up reducing that many monsters. Just returning the cards your opponent controls so you can revive your other birds is really important and really, really helpful. Simorgh Onslaught is one of the best searchers I have seen in a while. You discard a wing beast monster to add 2 Simorgh monsters with different attributes from your deck to your hand, and you can banish it from your graveyard to reveal a wing beast monster in your hand, and if you do, reduce the level of monster in your hand by 1, which can stack up with your Simorgh Repulsion to get out your Lord of the Storm a little easier. But you have to do it with 2 of them, which is kind of crap, so we don't use it that much. Basically, you just use it for the search. But it's really good to use this for the search because you have to add, what you're going to always add is one of these, either the Darkness Simorgh or the Dark Simorgh, and then any of your other birds. Usually it's going to be Lord of the Storm. And this is what I usually search off of the Bird of Bringing. Then we play 3 copies of Elbors, the Sacred Lands of Simorgh. This card is super, super good for the deck. What it does is all wing beast monsters gain 300 attack, and then you can activate one of these effects. You can reveal a level 5 or higher wing beast monster in your hand. In this turn, you can normal summon that monster for 1 less tribute. And if you control a wind wing beast monster, you can immediately after this card resolves, normal summon 1 wind wing beast monster. So this card you have to get to as quickly as possible because this enables you to get your Lord of the Storm out of your hand and summon it onto the field as quickly as possible. If you can get Bird of Bringing onto the field, if you open up Bird of Bringing and Simorgh Onslaught and 1 other wing beast, you've pretty much got your Simorgh on the field because all you have to do is normal summon the Bird of Bringing and then activate or add this to hand, discard the other wing beast with Simorgh Onslaught, add your Darkness Simorgh and your Lord of the Storm to your hand, activate this effect, reveal the Lord of the Storm, reduce its level by 2 basically, or whatever for 1 less tribute. Tribute the one that's on your field because this lets you normal summon again, and then summon it out. And then Darkness Simorgh summons right behind it, so you get 2 2900 beat sticks. We play 2 copies of Twin Twister. Twin Twister is here because you have to have no back row on your opponent's side of the field. I thought about playing it at 3, but you don't have that much problems with back row. I play 3 copies of the Monarch Stormforth. It does go with the wind attribute as well, which is kind of cool. But its effect basically lets us normal summon by tributing our opponent's monsters, which is nice. It combos really well with Elbors because you can reveal the Wing Beast monster and summon it for 1 less tribute. Combo it with Monarch Stormforth, and then tribute your opponent's monster to summon out your big birds and do all sorts of crazy shenanigans. And then 3 copies of Trade-In because I'm not really concerned if Darkness Simorgh hits the graveyard. And this card is extremely good to send your copies of Darkness Simorgh to the graveyard or your brick copies of Simorgh Lord of the Storm. And we play 6 targets for Trade-In. And I'm not concerned. It does not matter if Darkness Simorgh is in the graveyard or not. It can just bring itself back every time. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're only going to be playing 3 traps, and that is 3 copies of Harpy's Feather Storm. So Harpy's Feather Storm is a really good kind of trap card in the deck. If you control a Wind, Wing, Beast type monster until the end phase of the turn, negate any monster effects your opponent activates. And if you control a Harpy monster, which we do play a Harpy monster in the extra deck, you can activate this card from your hand, which is really good to be able to activate it directly from your hand on your opponent's turn, because you can keep it in your hand and then immediately activate it right off the bat when your opponent activates a monster effect and just negate it, which is awesome. So this card's really good as a 3 of. Highly recommend playing this card. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, this is subject to change. You can change it up a little bit from here and there. I don't go into the extra deck all that much in this build, so it's not a necessity that you have to have all the cards. So we play 1 copy of Win, Charmer. You need one of these. This card's really good because of the arrows, and it works with wind attributes. I play an Alamirage. You don't have to play the Alamirage if you don't want to, but it works really good with the Bird of Beginning. Linkuriboh also works good with Bird of Beginning because it's a level 1, and this card's easily brought out. High Speed Rubber Band Shooter. This card's really good because it just takes 2 wind monsters, and it gives you an additional normal summon. 2 copies of Greatfly. I highly recommend playing at least 2 copies of Greatfly because you can link summon this out, and all of your Wind, Wing, Beast monster, or all your wind monsters gain 500 attack, which is really beneficial. 1 Harpy Conductor. Highly recommend playing this too because it works well with Harpy's Feather Storm. I do play a Nightmare package, which is Cerberus, Phoenix, and Unicorn. These are pretty budget now, to be honest, because of the Megatins. This bounces, this pops spells and traps, and this pops monsters. I play 1 copy of the Doom Eagle. Doom Eagle is decent in the deck. If you open it first and you go into this quickly, it gains 2400 attack while your opponent has no monsters in their grave, and then you can target a monster in your opponent's graveyard and shuffle it into the deck once per turn, which is pretty good. And it goes up to 48, so it's really good if your opponent doesn't have anything in the graveyard. You just summon this, and it's 48 to swing. And this is a budget option to play in the deck. Boral Load and Boral Sword. It kind of, again, depends on what you want to play. I play Hope Harboring Dragon Titanic Galaxy and Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand in here too, because the Simorghs are level 8. So you can normal summon this one and then special summon out the Darkness Simorgh, and you've got a free rank 8 right there for either one of these, depending on the scenario that you might run into. So anyways, guys, that's it for the deck. I hope you enjoyed this one. It is super budget. It's one of the cheapest decks you can build ever, in my opinion. Like I said, the main deck, I literally bought on TCG Player, I think I bought this deck 5 times, and it cost me $11 for the core, because I just wanted to have a bunch of them in my extra deck, or in my binder, so I could teach people how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! That come over to the Mythics at the shop. And, you know, if I run into somebody who just wants a really good budget deck, I pull this out and go, hey, you want to play something for fun? You know, this is a good option. So, anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think of this video down in the comments down below. Hit that bell and then become part of the notification squad. Definitely subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.